Hello, welcome to Being Reintegrated. This is Tim Wright. As you all probably know, I am extremely obsessed with Semelas material. So I wanted to preface this video with that. Omnishelf is obviously the software that I developed, but it allows us to review these materials in a very efficient way. Rather than filling bookshelves up with books, which I can do, of course. I'm trying to make the Omnishelf available to people to minimize the amount of books. I mean, I've made about 20 or 25 books this year because I'm a publisher for Kim Publishing. So the beauty of this is I can keep making books, or we can move to a more digital platform, which is, where I saw it probably needed to go, since I did not want to be the guy to make, 400 books and be accused of filling up libraries and all of that. So I made Omnishelf, which is a electronic way of reviewing these videos, and then you can see a document to the left on a PDF read-only viewer. Well, what I'm doing right now is I'm going through the Aeon journals of Semelas, which we all know, existed, and no one has really translated them, though. So I'm going through them and doing the best French translation to English that I can. And as I said, I'm obsessed with Semelas. So I'm pretty sure we're getting down to base level of what things are. And this just goes to show why it should not be dismissed as something that we already know. So in my buddy Milko Bogard's book, The Order of the Lily and the Eagle, there's an amazing quote that's given by Milko on Pierre Guéraud. It says, "Before everything, aeon, or being, or spirit, existed in itself and in the absence of time and space. But the being and power possesses two virtues, tropos and pathos. Tropos is the virtue of activity, demonstrated by penetrating movement. It is male. It is wisdom. Pathos is the virtue of emotionalism, demonstrated by enveloping movement. It is female. It is love. Tropos, by the virtue of penetration, created space, and pathos, reacting to the effect of tropos by its enveloping movement, created time. Space and time produced shape, from whence came substance. But there were other attributes in power, aeon, nous, which is thought, volos, which is will, logos, which is speech, etc. But so that these unconscious and detached attributes might become conscious and alive, it was necessary to have generators situated within aeon. These generators were of two groups, one related to tropos and the other pathos. One was penetrating, male and wise, and the other was enveloping, female and tender. There were several groups of generators, but those that interest us are those living on this earth. First, Dion and Dia. Second, Rion and Rhea. Third, Fion and Phia. Dion and Dia ruled those of the white race, Rion and Rhea those of the yellow race, and Fion and Phia those of the black race. They sometimes incarnate in this world. Dion was notably the prophet Elijah, then John the Baptist. Rion appeared as Confucius and then Lao Tzu, and very fortunately for humans, these generating aeons give consciousness and life to the unconscious Aeonian attributes. Nous, volos, romos, nomion, logos, mimetis, and thymos are thus the sons of the generators with the quality of giants." Whew! What a quote! So, we may dismiss Semelas' material as overly initiatic and overly esoteric, and what are we really going to learn about that stuff anyway? Well, coupled with the Omnishelf, I'm translating the, not lectures, but the journals of Semelas. So, the reason why I wanted to bring this up and give you that very long quote is because as you'll see in issue 5 that I translated, you'll see that this particular article, To Be or Not to Be, is from Phaon the generator. So you can see that Phaon is actually a personage that I believe Semelas is taking up in these journals. It's profound stuff. I mean, for me, like I said, I'm Semelas obsessed, and there's a really interesting overlap here. So if you'll just bear with me, it gets a little bit cooler. So, and I will substantiate some organizations and not some others, and it's not to be selective or rude. It's just where this research takes me myself. So, what I was going to say is that Semelas actually had some connection in Egypt with some really cool stuff, and that is Kunrath. In my book that I did of Semelas, which you can get on Amazon, you can see that he was on the inside group of what was talked about in only initiatic circles. And I know this for a fact because I'm able to do research on levels that are probably unprecedented in this blabby society that we live in. I'm researching all this esoteric and occult literature for my Patreon, but also, this is what you guys are subsidizing. I'm doing all of the difficult work and researching it and making sure to be authentic to the lines that are coming out in that research. Primarily that I'm not mixing the streams like Ghostbuster would say, but I'm not mixing English occultism with French occultism or Egyptian occultism with Arabic occultism. There's so much there that needs to be unraveled, essentially, because Semelas, back to my friend, was essentially a master of all of the mystery schools in Cairo, Egypt. There's overlap with Cairo and lots of stuff. So I found it very cool that Semelas was so connected. He had Greece mysteries in the realms of the Greece kind of mystery systems, which we have finally culminated in the teachings of Daskalos, the healer and philosopher, researchers of truth stuff. And then we also have the Cairo mysteries, which he was part of the original founding groups of Martinists, the original Martinists. He rewrote the rituals, he reinterpreted everything. And what I just read to you, that quote from Milko's book, The Order of the Lily and the Eagle, From Chaos to Oblivion, is essentially a breakdown of exactly what the purpose of Semelas' stuff is all about. But the cool part, the very cool part, is I had no idea that there was an article in Aeon number 5 as a pseudonym of Phaon, F-E-O-N. Which I just read you that quote. So I find it very interesting that we have these untold treasures available. Now, I could make a book series called the, Unpublished Teachings of Semelas and go sell you 5 or 10 books on Semelas, or you could subscribe to the monthly service on Omnishelf and you can have access to the Semelas library. what'll happen is you'll pay a monthly service fee, and then you'll have access to the Omnishelf Semelas library, which is highly initiatic, highly secret. And then I'll be contextualizing all the journals and giving a little bit more information on all of that. I plan to publish everything I have of Semelas, which is the Order of the Lily and Eagle, the Aeon journals retranslated, Semelas's lectures, and then also a lot of the other Semelas teachings that we're just not familiar with. Now, I did Coonroth, and the thing that's exciting is that I also have the Omnidex, DEX, for an index software that I made that actually takes occult or whatever material that you want and indexes it. So in the Semelas library will be a Omnidex link for Semelas materials. All of this is in English. All of this will be searchable, but on the Omnidex, which I control again, we can put Coonroth searches. I have access to the recent material in digital format, in searchable format of any Coonroth material that's been made available. We'll just put it that way. And that will allow you access to do that. Now, also, Omnishelf can have a connection to Ambix. So that's what I'm saying. Omnishelf is not just my little pet project. It's a massive software archival system that pretty much the idea is any PDF that you can imagine can and will be shown on Omnishelf. It has subscription services and it has video integration. So you'll be able to contextualize everything you read on the Omnishelf. Right now, it's in development. You know, I might white label it, which means taking away all of our occult content and making it available for a media platform for other people. But right now, it's ours. And so the great part is it's a multi-million-dollar piece of software that allows us to function within these esoteric archives in a way that not only presents in a copyrighted way, but gives us video contextualization of everything we're reading. So I think that's a little better and more valuable than just selling you books and saying, figure it out. Which, honestly, if you don't have hundreds of hours, it's really hard to figure out. So that's what I'm here for. That's why my Patreon is so helpful, because this subsidizes me to be able to do the research for you. And researchers in occultism are making buku bucks. I mean, the $7 subscription is nothing compared to the $500 Brill books that are out there to even get into the topic. Forshaw, I just saw Forshaw's 4-volume series is over $3,000 from Brill, exclusive, very difficult to get. I mean, this is some pretty expensive material. So I'm very, very happy that I can present to you Omnishelf materials to the occult world. It doesn't go to just libraries, but it has the massive functionality of a media research index presentation system. So I think occultists have needed this for a long time. Now, I tried to offer this kind of software to most of the occult people out there, and they're really busy with the old model of making books and then having you read those books and not really know what you're reading, and then getting lost and you have another book on the shelf. I mean, it takes one to know one. So I tried to break that model of having you just have a book there and then not being able to do anything with it. So as well with all these Semelas journals, I have many, many materials that will start to pop up on the Omnishelf. And I'm very, very grateful that we have the opportunity to go through these piece by piece on being reintegrated on my Patreon, but also on the Omnishelf, because what happens is it's a stopping point for anybody. Now, eventually, I'm learning how to scale it down pretty good. So eventually, I'll be able to buy a server and side serve all of this, so we won't have to be reliant on any third-party services. I'm going to deploy the deployments for Omnishelf on a server, and then eventually have that server mirrored, so you'll have access to this for perpetuity. There'll be a person presenting it, even if I go, and it'll continue on and on and on. Now, most of it is free. I did it because I wanted Duke de Palatine's material to be available for life for free. Because the person who originally did Duke de Palatine's archiving had it all in papers, and I got it and I digitized it, and you know the story. But what I'm doing now is I'm using that digital platform to present to you Semelas. So I hope that contextualizes what we're doing with the Semelas library that you'll find on Omnishelf, Kim Publishing. I can make books, and I will make books, limited edition books. The Semelas books are almost sold out. That is something that I'm very, very grateful for. It was a limited edition of 500 copies, almost completely sold out. I'm not sure if we're going to keep going with that route. I might digitize that book and make it available on a library, because I guess the hardbound $50 books are, not very feasible. People don't really want one Semelas book. They want all Semelas materials. So going with that line of thought, I'm going to be making the Semelas Omnishelf, and little by little, you'll start to see all of this material popping up, courtesy of Kim Publishing. Thanks so much for your support and watching.